So HBO didn't show up, Marvel didn't show up, Star Wars didn't show up, Netflix had a very limited presence this year, and I didn't show up. Is San Diego Comic-Con dying?
Hello, start this gangsta show. Mr. Mother, thanks I get. Hello, I started this gangsta show.
It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I am Ethan Van Sciver, 25-year veteran of the comic book industry, a creator of Cyberfrog, illustrator of Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, and a great big Star Wars fan. San Diego Comic-Con 2018, absence of HBO, Marvel, and Star Wars has a silver lining for nerdy fans. Oh, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate this glass is always half full kind of attitude here, but when San Diego Comic-Con's hall is only half full, I guess that just means more room for people to walk around aimlessly looking for the things and the booths and the people that they hoped would be there but aren't. That is the silver lining. San Diego Comic-Con existed long before movie and TV producers came calling, and it will continue long after mainstream pop culture turns away. Doing what exactly? What the hell? I gotta read this article. This is amazing. Very nice mashup of Spider-Man and Captain America. Spider America? America Man? No. Captain Spider? I can't. You guys, you come up with a good mashup name for that. I give up. Fans dressed as their favorite characters posed during Comic-Con International in San Diego on July 20th, 2017. Comic-Con International, San Diego concluded on Sunday with much fanfare. Did it? I was hoping to have a lot more material for videos. I was hoping to get some more announcements. We got 3 good trailers. We got Godzilla, King of the Monsters. That looks fantastic. We got Shazam. DC Comics was there. So DC Comics premiered the Shazam trailer, which looks fantastic. And the Aquaman trailer, which looks better than I thought it was going to look. I can't say it looks fantastic after a little bit of time thinking about it, but it looks much, much better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be kind of a low-budget, thrown-together affair that didn't resemble anything Aquaman-y. Because, listen, the Aquaman that was in the Justice League movie wasn't Aquaman. This looks like it's going to attempt to be more like Aquaman, the Jeff Johns version of Aquaman. That is Aquaman. So that was reassuring. So I did all that. I covered all those. Now what? What's left? Known as the granddaddy of annual comic conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, or SDCC as it's generally referred to, began in 1970 as the Golden State Comic Book Convention, the GSCBC. It's better. SDCC is better. Still going strong after 48 years. That's not what this article seems to be about. San Diego Comic-Con spent the last decade as a mecca for things which were once the purview of a very specific fan community, but now are increasingly considered mainstream entertainment. This year, however, many high-profile mainstream nerd properties sat out the convention. Well, I'm going to click that link. It might be porn because this is NBC, but San Diego Comic-Con, without Marvel and HBO, others get a chance to pop. Wow, that is optimism. Again, this glass is half full kind of thing is an interesting approach. I don't think that San Diego Comic-Con being overtaken because Marvel Comics and HBO, which are normally big, huge, gigantic booths, big presences at San Diego Comic-Con, I don't think that other people winning by default is necessarily a great thing. Not for the convention itself, and certainly not for convention goers. Although this may have disappointed some fans, most of them, there's a silver lining. It's a reminder that San Diego Comic-Con existed long before the movie and TV producers came calling, and it will continue even after pop culture turns away from nerd content. My God, this is the same kind of argument that people make about Planet Earth. Planet Earth is going to continue long after the human race goes extinct. I mean, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. It's like, hey, well, Planet Earth did fine without us. and before us, and it'll do fine after we leave. Yes, but we want. Yeah, but hey, well, don't we want these mainstream nerd properties to actually be represented continually at San Diego Comic-Con? Don't we want these mainstream nerd properties to remain profitable enough that it makes sense? In fact, it's vital that they maintain presences at San Diego Comic-Con. Despite absences, the 2018 program schedule was massive, of course. Indeed, attendance has long since outgrown the massive San Diego Convention Center where the main events are held, and now includes satellite locations inside the city's library, the largest theater, and other hotels and convention halls. Major shows like Doctor Who and Star Trek had headlining panels. DC Comics, God bless them, and its extended film universe had high profiles all weekend, offering panels on Wonder Woman 2. Did we get a trailer for that? I don't think so. Along with Aquaman, which it desperately hopes will be hits. Desperately hopes it will be hits. That word is all over this article. Entertainment sites stream live from the event for those who could not afford to attend. The ascendant nerd pop culture of our era is still a major force to be reckoned with, and those able to capitalize on it are still riding the wave for all it's worth. This is a sad article from NBC. This is a terrifying article for NBC. This is the beginning of the end for a lot of these mainstream entertainment vehicles. These big mainstream blockbuster entertainment properties. Why? Well, I have my theories. I talk about them all the time on this channel. I talk about how the invasion of social justice warrior culture ruins these properties. It ruins. SJWs invade and ruin everything. They ruin everything. They come into Marvel Comics. They've ruined Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics can no longer afford to have a big presence at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I have watched this happen just from the standpoint of DC Comics. I've watched DC Comics slowly eliminate the conventions, slowly wheedle down the conventions that they attend, just based on where they have to, where it's vital. They have to be at WonderCon. They have to be at San Diego Comic-Con. They have to be at Fan Expo Toronto. Just a handful of conventions where their presence is convenient and most effective. I think they do Emerald City Comic-Con too, up in Washington. So I'm watching that happen, and at no point would anyone ever consider not appearing at San Diego Comic-Con. That is the bare minimum. You have to be at San Diego Comic-Con. You have to be there. Everyone is there. You have to be there. Now we're seeing people decide that when it comes to their bottom line, it is no longer profitable. It is no longer worth it. They're no longer able to financially attend and have a presence a big booth presence at San Diego Comic-Con. That's astonishing. Of course the fans are still going. The fans haven't caught on yet. Wait until next year. Wait until the year after that. But it wasn't always that way. Up until this century, San Diego Comic-Con was a modest comic convention like any other, with the attendance in the 30,000 to 40,000 range. I was there in the 90s. I was there all through the 1990s going to San Diego Comic-Con. It was still a very, very big event. Very big event. I will say the last two times that I attended, 2007, 2008, were shoulder to shoulder. You could not move around the hall. And as you did kind of work your way through the crowd to get from one end of the hall where I was sitting maybe to sign comics to go get a hot dog or something like that, you would push your way through fans and you would see celebrities. Along the way. I remember 2008 walking through the hall and pushing my way through and seeing a woman who looked very familiar pushing a stroller with a baby in it, and I realized it was Toni Collette, and I was like, whoa, just as soon as I saw her, she was already, three people past me. I saw Joss Whedon walking around. You just see celebrities walking around, and it's just an enormous big deal, and everyone's there. You have to be there. If you're promoting anything, you have to be there. Not so this year. During those years, nerd properties were their own little fiefdoms. Star Trek nerds, for instance, went to Star Trek conventions. Something like San Diego Comic-Con, which was the first and foremost a comic book focused convention, was meant primarily for those who read comics. Of course, it grew out of that. Comic conventions slowly became more generalized. San Diego Comic-Con was perfectly positioned for the sci-fi and fantasy boom at the end of the 1990s. Beginning around 2000, the Star Wars prequels, Lord of the Rings films, and a rapidly growing Marvel movie fan base meant being a nerd suddenly didn't seem like a thing to be ashamed of anymore. Attendance began spiking at San Diego Comic-Con as these properties held panels at the event. By 2004, the convention had taken over the entire San Diego Convention Center. By 2006, it began to overtop capacity attendance. That's right, leaving some to argue that the nerds had lost their space to Hollywood and the mainstream, maybe for good. That was a complaint. But the thing was, you still needed to go. It didn't really matter that the convention was growing. The convention growing, Hollywood invading it, simply meant if you were an independent comic book producer, you were likely, by going to San Diego, going to meet somebody from Hollywood, a producer, an actor maybe, who was interested in your idea in your little comic book and might option it from you. So you wanted to have a big booth that showed off your new comic book idea, and you might meet somebody from Fox or somebody like that who will come along and say, hey, here's my card. I want to talk to you about this. Thank you for my, give them copies of your book. They'll take them home and read them. And the next thing you know, you've got a little movie deal. That's what San Diego Comic-Con used to be. You had to be there. On top of that, you had to be there because if you said, hey, I'm going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, you immediately, all your lunches, all your dinners, all your breakfasts, all filled up with meetings. You had to have a meeting with this person, with that person, planning the future, planning the new year of comics. Hey, I want to sit down with an editor from Marvel Comics and just talk and just figure out if there's something we want to do together. No longer does that seem to be necessary. Why? Because Marvel Comics is making decisions based on what they can afford and not based on what creatively is going to be the most exciting. When you can't afford big talent anymore because your books aren't selling, because they're full of social justice nonsense that is disenfranchising fans by the thousands, your options get cut down. There's no reason to sit there and interview big budget talent because you can't afford them. You can't even afford a booth at San Diego Comic-Con. Movie and TV studios had moved to take advantage of the captive audience. This is all great. By 2015, the year Star Wars: The Force Awakens debuted with much fanfare, San Diego Comic-Con was attracting close to 17,000 attendees and had become a standalone yearly event on the entertainment calendar. That is correct. And yet, in the last couple of years, attendance has begun to fall back. Some of this is due to the production studios themselves. Disney, which has incurred an $80 million debt from Solo, a Star Wars story. Of course, Star Wars isn't there. When you've lost $80 million on your last movie, you're not throwing around another $2 million for a big gigantic booth presence at San Diego Comic-Con. You're not. Why did you lose $80 million? Well, let's go back and analyze why Solo lost $80 million. Why Star Wars is now a money-losing franchise. Why is that? Well, we go over that right here on this channel. That's what we do. I mean, we talk about it all the time. And that has a rippling effect, and before you know it, you are no longer a booth presence. You are no longer talking about Star Wars. You are no longer at San Diego Comic-Con promoting much of anything. They now use their own convention, Star Wars Celebration. There's still always going to be Star Wars Celebration to market new projects. We scale back. We cut out San Diego Comic-Con, of course. Disney is going to focus its modest presence primarily on animated Star Wars offerings, which is the biggest panel being far more niche, 10-year anniversary commemoration of the Clone Wars. So the good news that came out of San Diego Comic-Con that everybody got excited about was a new season, one new season of the Clone Wars, which is Disney in full retreat, Lucasfilm in full retreat, basically saying what worked. At what point did we lose the fandom? At what point did we lose them, and how can we get them back? Okay, so let's do another season of Clone Wars. That's a great idea. Yeah, on the TV side, this was the first year since Game of Thrones began airing that the HBO show was not present. Westworld wasn't represented either, meaning HBO sat out this year entirely. Netflix, after making an aggressive push in 2017, also backed off somewhat, with arguably its biggest offering since the second season, or being the second season of the follow-up to one of its biggest flops, Iron Fist. Did these absences change the nature of San Diego Comic-Con? One would suspect so, yes. Absolutely. Comic conventions are becoming a victim of their own success a bit. No, that's not necessarily. Local events have swelled in attendance this decade, with new ones popping up all the time. Washington, D.C., for instance, did not have a comic convention of its own until the year 2013. Now it's got Awesome Con. Awesome Con is doing pretty good. Why fly across the country when one can attend a smaller and more intimate convention at home? That's always been the case. There are smaller, intimate conventions everywhere. Everyone goes to them, but they all also go to San Diego Comic-Con. If attendance continues to fall and production houses continue to find new ways to market their films and TV shows, conventions like San Diego Comic-Con may have to contract to keep up with the times. We're talking about a shrinking and dying San Diego Comic-Con. That is astonishing. That is astonishing. This article started out, look at this sunny aspect. There's a silver lining for nerdy fans. Yeah, what is that silver lining again? Just more room to sit down at San Diego Comic-Con. More room to rest your fat rear end and flip through the comics that you bought at a severe discount. San Diego Comic-Con was never supposed to be about prestige TV stars or mainstream content. Its original purpose was to celebrate the niche and the nerdy and allow every fan base a moment to shine. Maybe with a little less star power they can. Again, it's not even about the star power. Marvel Comics isn't there. How long before DC Comics decides that, well, it's just not worth the expense anymore? We're not selling enough comic books. This is why comic books, as it kind of implodes, needs to be restructured, rethought out, rebuilt. From the ground up, which is what some people from Comicsgate are trying to do. We are currently trying a new model of creating comic books, selling them to fans, distributing them to fans in a way that hopefully will allow comics to survive this implosion of far left-wing radicals which have taken over and just bore out the inside of comics, torn out the heart of comics, sent fans walking away. #walk away. That is the main problem. That's the main problem here. Wherever social justice warriors rear their heads, fandom flees, and money dries up. And people are going to have to eventually learn that is the problem. And I can't believe it's going to take a shrinking, contracting San Diego Comic-Con to make that clear to people. But listen, Comic Artist Pro Secrets will be here to talk about it and point out where they're going wrong and learn from it. Try to learn from it for the benefit of Cyberfrog and Rainbow Brute. Join me. Watch this all go down. Hey, want to follow me on Twitter? Okay, cool. I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. Talk to you there. Show your friends you support independent comics while showing the world who you back in the fight against the swarm with the brand new Cyberfrog t-shirt from Crypto Fashion and Comic Artist Pro Secret. Sizes come in small to 5XL, and take your choice of colors between navy blue, white, and black. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and order the Fandom Menace, Go Get Daddy's Belt, Tico, and Soilo t-shirts as well. Link is below in the description. You're going to look great. People love these shirts. They fit wonderfully. Thank you very much. Hello, potential Indiegogo backers. Hello, friends. My name is Ethan Van Sciver. I'm a comic book creator who worked for 20 years for Marvel and DC Comics on books like Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, Batman, and X-Men. But before that, I had a comic book called Cyberfrog. Now, Cyberfrog lasted from 1993 to 1998, and then it stopped when I went to go work for DC Comics. Now I want to tell the story of where Cyberfrog has been for the last 20 years. I want to write, pencil, ink a book called Cyberfrog Blood Honey that tells the story of gigantic alien hornets that come to Earth and conquer it, sending Cyberfrog into deep hibernation, where he emerges now in the year 2018 into a completely alternate reality, a new world where these hornets have taken over, devastated humanity, using human skin to make gigantic wasp hives, and harvesting human blood to make honey to feed their young. Very few humans still exist. But it's up to Cyberfrog to save what's left of humanity and turn back the damage that's been done by these wasps with his brother Salamandroid and his friend Heather Swain. I want you to help me do this. We're going to get colors by Kyle Ritter. He's a fantastic colorist, and he's going to make this book sing. I'd like this to be a 48-page one-shot prestige format, part 1 of 4. So I'm asking you to help me launch the very first Cyberfrog Blood Honey epic graphic novel. Are you in? Will you help me? I hope so. Let's get this frog jumping again. If you enjoyed this video and want to become part of this community, subscribe to this channel by clicking the laughing man face logo right on your screen. Ring the bell for notifications as well. You'll never miss a live chat. And stay tuned, another video by Comic Artist Pro Secrets is coming right up.